I'm going to go 60, 75 minutes and also take some burning questions that you have. So I'm looking forward to jumping into this. Right now, what you can do is grab a notebook. I'm going to go through this rapid fire and give you as many tips as I can over the next 90 minutes to help you level up your learning and your life. Okay. I'm excited about sharing with you some of the latest tools and techniques from my book Limitless. Where's everybody watching this from right now? Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Can you hear? How is the audio? Just give me a shout out on a yes that you can hear my audio, because that would be very important also as well. Okay. So let me do this. Let me do this. I appreciate it. So right now is your opportunity to take a screenshot of this and share it. Please is share this right now. This is live. And so again, I'm recording this on 3 different cameras right now. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, great. If you're watching on Instagram, you might want to watch it on Facebook just because we're going to go past the hour limit on Instagram. I would encourage you to grab your notebook. There was studies done referring to taking notes with the notepad, which is what I do, is preference to focus and retention. Digitally is better for sharing and for storage, but when you're handwriting it, you can't possibly write down everything I say word for word. So it forces you to look at it and actually use use a filter and choose to figure out what's most important in this process. The stuff I'm going to be teaching here today are based out of two things. Number one, out of our student program called Quick Student. You can find out more about it at quickstudent.com, KWIKstudent.com. It's our 30-day program that we teach on study skills. And this is, again, whether you are middle school, junior high school, college graduate, graduate school, these will help you be able to take tests, be able to cut your studying time. So let's jump into it. Share this wide and far. If you're on Instagram, you can take a screenshot of it and then tag me in it. And we are going to be raffling off also. You are the first people to see this. This is an actual copy of my brand new book, Limitless, which comes out in about a week. And it is gorgeous. This is the textbook on how to learn anything faster. And I'm going to talk about this model specifically on how this model will show you how to not only learn faster, but also unlock all your potential. And I know it's a big claim. And so this is 28 years of me teaching this out in the field, from children with the most severe learning challenges to aging adults who are early onset dementia. I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's, so it's something I'm very passionate about. We thank you also for all the support here and everything. So much love here. So let's jump into it, okay? There are 6 keys to learning any subject or skill faster, all right? And I want you to, if you heard me say these again, I'm gonna go through this very quickly, because what keeps you in the world right now, at least for this, because this is your time well spent. And finally, forget about your limitations, right? Limitless is not about being perfect. Limitless is about progressing and advancing beyond what you currently believe is possible. If you're watching this on Instagram, I'm actually going live on Facebook. We have over 15,000 people registered for this free class. And so we're doing it here. I want to thank you. Share this wide and far, because I want to fill in the gaps of what we didn't learn back in school. Now that's the F, is forget what you know about a subject, forget about distractions. If something comes in your mind, just write it down, and then forget about your limits, okay? Because all limits are learned. And the sky is not the limit, your mind is the limit, okay? The only infinite resource we have on planet Earth is the mind. There is no limit to your creativity. There is no limit to your learning potential. There is no limit to your imagination. There's no limit to your motivation or determination. So the A in FASTER stands for active. You want to be active, because here's what you want to write down. Learning is not a spectator sport. Learning is not a spectator sport. And so you want to get off the bench and be involved, because 20th century education prepared us for a 20th century world, which at the turn of the 20th century was working in farms, working in factories, and that's not the world we live in right now. We live in an age of autonomous electric cars, cars that drive themselves, spaceships that are going to Mars. But our vehicle of choice when it comes to learning and education is often a horse and buggy. So we want to upgrade our skills like we would upgrade our phone and upgrade our apps. But the most amazing technology is your brain. So when's the last time you upgraded your brain? That's what we're going to do right now. So, but you need to be active, because the human brain does not learn through consumption. It learns through creation. Meaning you can't sit there in class and just be lectured to today. Growing up with, scrolling and swipes and joysticks, you can't just sit there, and it's not the teacher's responsibility to push this information in your head. You have to be active. And so how can you be active? A couple of quick tips. And I am reading, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have everyone watching on the watch page, over so many people, thousands of people all around the world. And again, if you're just joining us, my name is Jim Kwik. I have Kwik Learning, and my mission in life is to teach you how to learn quickly. I think if there's one skill to master in the 21st century, it's your ability to learn rapidly. Now, I am in New York City right now as we're recording, as we're doing this live right now. I could see everybody who's participating here all around the world and where you're from. This is a community, right? And so we are cocooning, and while we're cocooning here, we could also get clarity on what we're doing, kind of a reset. We could also have care, self-care, and part of self-care is not just physical hygiene, it's mental hygiene, right? And so what can you do to upgrade your ability to care for yourself and for other people? I would also say, besides care and also through clarity, this is a wonderful time while you're cocooning. And cocooning is a great metaphor, because I want you to transform. I want you, cool shirt, thank you. I wear brain shirts, by the way, because I'm making this conversational, because what you see, you take care of. You can see your hair, you take care of your hair. You see your clothing, you take care of your clothing. You see your skin, you can take care of your skin. But you don't see the most important thing in the world, which controls everything in your life, your grades, your career, your learning, your relationships, your health, which is your brain. So I always wear a brain on my shirt. I feel like, when I point to my brain, I'm reminding you that take care of this, right? So that's care. Also contributing. How can you uniquely contribute in the world? If you feel fear, you feel anxiety, one of the best ways, the antidote to fear is service. So this is why we do this. This is our mission. We have students at kwiklearning.com in over 195 countries around the world. And our goal is to contribute and be able to change your brain so you can change your own world. So you can have a limitless learning, because you are a limitless learner. Your ability to learn is absolutely limitless, and a limitless mind gives you a limitless life, right? If you take care of your brain, your mind and your life will follow. And so going back to this is also a wonderful time, besides getting clarity, 5 C's. Clarity while you're cocooning. If you want to transform into this incredible butterfly and soar to new heights, I would recommend, number 1, use this time for clarity in your life. It's a nice pause, reset. And here's a magic question: what's most important to you in life? Just in general, like what's most important to you in school? What's most important? Where do tap into your passions and more of your purpose? Number two, care for yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you prioritize sleep, because sometimes you pull those all-nighters in school and it's not good. And then you've heard me say this. I teach this at Caltech, at Harvard, at USC. Those all-nighters, they don't work. When you sleep, you consolidate short to long-term memory. So care, and then let's contribute. Invite your friends to this so that they can learn also as well. And then also creativity. You are right now. We are creating, and I'm gonna take you through some creative processes, because as you graduate school, where jobs are going right now, a lot of jobs are going to AI, artificial intelligence. They're becoming automated. What's not going to be outsourced to a machine is your creativity. The future belongs to the creators, and that's why I say learning is not a spectator sport. Human brain does not learn through consumption; it learns through creation. So I want to create this movement of the mind. I believe we're in the millennium of the mind. So we're going to do some fun stuff and be a little playful here today. So while you're doing this and you're being creative, like, I don't know if you know this, but it was during the Great Plague, where Shakespeare created Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra. While the London school was closed because of the plague, it's when Isaac Newton had to socially distance himself. He had to go home, and when he was sitting underneath the tree in his yard, an apple fell on his head, and he came up with the theories of motion, theories of gravity. So we're going to be creative here. And then finally, the last C, while you're cocooning, and you want to come out smarter and stronger when you emerge like a butterfly, is this thing called capabilities. And that's the focus in this session, because don't downgrade your goals in school and in life to meet this current situation. What you want to do is upgrade your skills and capabilities to meet your dreams and your destiny. And you have greatness inside of you. I'm going to prove it to you in this session. So going back to the FAST, you have F is forget about everything that's going on, your limitations, and I do this purposely through review. A is you want to be active. Now, how can you be active besides asking wonderful questions? Take notes. And I mentioned I want you to have a notebook or a notepad, and what I want you to do is on this piece of paper, draw a line right down the page. So it looks like this, all right? It looks like this. And again, I have 3 cameras here recording, so bear with me. And I'm like a one-man studio right now because we're all physically distancing ourselves. On the left side of the page, you are going to capture. On the right side of the page, you are going to create. And this is a better way of taking notes. And instead of outline forms and maybe how you defaulted in terms of how do you take notes, the left side is you capture, the right side you create. What does that mean? On the left side of the page, I want you to take notes. On the right side, I want you to make notes. So when I say something and I go through and I talk about how to study and how long to study and the best brain foods to take you to new levels, to memorize facts and figures, you write that on the left side. You're taking notes. But on the right side, you're writing your impressions of what you're taking notes about, okay? And so one of the ways of being active, again, on the left side, you're taking notes. On the right side, I want you to answer 3 questions. 3 questions for yourself. I want you to ask this question: how can I use this? Why must I use this? And when will I use this? How can I use this? What my coach, my brain coach, right? Musicians have voice coaches. Athletes have, personal trainers. Business people have, marketing coaches or financial coaches. I want to be a coach for your mind, just like how a physical trainer will make your muscles stronger and faster and more agile, more flexible. I want your mental muscles to be stronger, because this is about mental fitness. I want you to be brain fit, stronger, faster, more agile up here. Because today, when you graduate school, the average graduate I read is going to have anywhere from 8 to 12 different careers. And the number one skill to master is your ability to learn faster, right? So, but you need to be active. So ask these 3 power questions. Number 1, how can I use this? How can I use what Jim is telling me right now? Number 2, why must I use this? And then finally, number 3, when will I use this? Okay, so that's how you be more active. And then the S in faster, S stands for state. All learning is state dependent. Write this down on the left side. All learning is state dependent, meaning the key to a long-term memory and the the reason why most people forget things. Do this with me. Information, do this. Information combined with emotion becomes a long-term memory. All right, so do this with me. This is the active part. Information, say it out loud, combined with emotion becomes a long-term memory. That's when you remember things. You remember things when, can you listen to a song and it can take you back? Like back to when you first heard that song or back to a moment? Is there a food or maybe a smell that could take you back, to when you were younger? Yes, because information by itself is forgettable. The periodic table is forgettable, right? But information tied to emotion becomes unforgettable. So S is state. So I'm going to ask you to control how you feel, because right now it's all about being a thermostat, not a thermometer. What do I mean by that? A thermometer, what's the job of a thermometer? The thermometer is, it what? Reacts to the environment. That's all a thermometer does. It reacts to the environment. But what does a thermostat do? A thermostat gauges the environment, but what does it do? It sets a new temperature, and then what happens to the environment? The environment reacts to it. And so I want you to be a thermostat. We all react to things, right? We react to what's going on in the world, we react to how people treat us. But ultimately, the power comes from yourself, right? I remember I got to spend time, and I love the fact that you're in the comments, you're posting like these notes, because that helps you to share it, right? And be more active. And so I remember when I got to meet one of my heroes. So I couldn't read when I was a child. It took me an extra 3 years to learn how to read. And I taught myself how to read by reading comic books. And something about the illustrations and the story, it offered real hope to me. It offered real help. And something about it, it's just like we could all make a difference. And I remember when I got to go out to dinner with Stan Lee. I don't know if you remember Stan Lee, but you don't know who he is. He's the cameo king, right? He's the creator or the co-creator of all my favorite superheroes, the Avengers, the X-Men, right? Spider-Man. And I remember we were in the car going to dinner, and I asked him, "Who's your favorite superhero?" And he's like, "Jim, it's Iron Man." He said, "Jim, who's your favorite superhero?" And I said, "It's Spider-Man." And I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Wow." And when I said Spider-Man, he said, "With great power comes what? Great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility." And I'm here to say that I reversed it in my head, because I had 3 brain injuries, and I sometimes reverse things when I read. And I heard something different. I said, "You're right, Stan. With great power comes great responsibility." And the opposite is also true. With great responsibility comes great power. I want you to remember this. Whatever age you are, or whatever stage you're at, that when you take responsibility for something, you have the power to make things better. And I think the most important thing to take responsibility for is how you feel about things. All right. And so you could change the way you feel. In fact, right now, let's play a game. On a scale of 0 to 10, how do you feel? Just how do you feel on a scale of 0 to 10? Just rate yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Some of you are at 10. Put it in the comments here. And if you're watching on the watch page, if you switch off between newest and oldest and go back to newest, you'll see all the latest comments that are there also as well. Or if you refresh the page, you'll see the latest comments. Now here, if you wanted to play a game with yourself and go from like a 5 to a 7, could you do it? What would you do? If you had to go from 5 to a 7, what would you do? Maybe you would smile, maybe you would take a breath, maybe you move your body around. In fact, check out your body a little bit here. You know what changes your state? Movement. In your physiology and your psychology. That's what changes how you feel about something. And if you put your $1 billion smile on right now, you feel different, right? And that state that you learned something in gets coded in the memory, and it helps you to be able to remember it a lot better. Because here's the thing, if on a scale of 0 to 10, what's the state you feel like in school? What do you normally feel like in school? Like when you're studying in school and you're sitting in class, how do you normally feel? I'm reading these comments. Boredom. And boredom, let's take boredom. On a scale of 0 to 10, what's boredom? 0, right? And remember, information times emotion becomes a long-term memory. And so if you're bored, anything times 0 is what? is 0, and you're not going to remember it quite as well. And that's powerful, is because if you had to teach what you're learning, like right now, like think about somebody you wish was watching this right now. Now, obviously, share what you're watching right now, either on Instagram or Facebook. But the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else. Because when you teach something, you get to learn it twice. When you teach something, you get to learn it twice. And that's why it's so important, right? So learn with the intention of teaching. And then finally, faster, the last 2 letters, E, stands for enter. What do I want you to enter? I want you to, if you want to learn faster, you have to enter it. The number 1 productivity and performance tool that you have is your calendar. If it's not in your calendar, you're not going to do it, right? And so just like you have your classes in your calendar, your study, I want you to practice. I want you to schedule your time to be able to learn, all right? You should have your to-do list, but I would also invite you to create another list, which is your to learn list. What would you like to learn? And I think the number 1 skill to learn is learning how to learn. All right, learning how to learn. Because if there was let's pretend there's a genie, and a genie would grant you any one wish. Any one wish. What would you wish for? Just one wish. Tell me. And I'm looking at the comments here. And on Instagram. It's what? Million wishes, right? Infinite wishes. That would be what you would wish for. You had one wish, you would ask for infinite wishes. Now let's say I am your learning genie, and I could help you master learn any one subject or any one skill. What would you ask for? What would be the equivalent of asking for infinite wishes? What subject or skill? It'd be learning how to learn. Because if you could learn how to learn, you could apply that towards everything. You could grant your own wishes. You could apply that towards math, history, science, Spanish, right? Music, money, management, martial arts, Mandarin. Everything gets easier if you can learn how to learn. But isn't it interesting we weren't taught learning how to learn? So the E in faster, enter your learning time to learn how to learn. And then finally, the last one is R. The R stands for review. One of the best ways to take short-term memory and convert it into a long-term memory is something called spaced review. Spaced review, and write that down. Spaced repetition or spaced review. It's where you take a pause and then like an hour later or a day later, you space it out and you review what you learned. So I'm going to ask you when we're done with this, maybe an hour later or tomorrow, I'd like you to review your notes, because that's how you take a short-term memory and convert it into a long-term memory. So that is the FASTER method, FASTER. And for people who are just joining us, maybe somebody could summarize the notes right now for people who are just joining us, what FASTER stands for. You need a shirt and Learning Genie. Yes, these shirts, actually, we donate 100% of the proceeds to from this book, limitlessbook.com, to build schools for girls and boys everywhere from Guatemala to Kenya. And we donate it also to Alzheimer's research in memory of my grandmother. But going back to this learning, you want to be able to apply this and be able to make a difference. I feel like that we could change your brain, then we could change the world. Some of you have watched our videos or our podcast at quickbrain.com, 15 minutes on how to do these things. But this is a deep dive learning session. So just summarize it for everybody else faster. Thank you. This is a community. This is a movement of the mind, right? You are warriors of learning. Now, how do you actually apply faster? And how do I know this works? Well, you know my story, right? I had a head injury, I had learning challenges, and I became very passionate going from, below normal to above normal, sharing this with other people. And when I started teaching this at 18 years old, one of my very first students, she was a freshman in college, she read 30 books in 30 days. Can you imagine that? 30 books in 30 days. And she read it. She didn't just skim it or scan it. She actually read it. And most people don't do that. They buy books and they sit on your shelf and they become shelf help, not self-help, right? And you do this with your textbooks. You can go through it and it's hard to read, right? Because have you ever read a page in a book and you get to the end and you just forgot what you just read? And you go back and you reread it and you still don't know what you just read? And that's a challenge, right? So we want to help you to be able to fix that. I'm going to share with you the exact tools on how to do that. And so what we're talking about here is is really something called meta learning, learning how to learn. So let me do a test with you. If you see me again on stage do these memory demonstrations where people give me 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 words and I memorize them forwards and backwards, afterwards I tell you that I don't do this to impress you, I just express to you what's possible. So now I want to test you. I'm going to give you 10 words right now. And do not write them down in the chats. I want you just to memorize these 10 words. These are 10 random words. And I want you to see how well you do with these 10 words. And then I'm going to teach you a memory tool that I teach in Limitless on how to remember these words, okay? So don't write this down. Do not write this down. This is mental exercise. I'm gonna give you 10 random words. Are you ready? You got this. All right. Fire hydrant, balloon, batteries, barrel, board, diamond, Sir Lancelot, mask, toothpaste, and sign. Okay, wait, I should actually memorize this too. 10 words. Okay, I gave you 10 words. What I want to do right now is we're going to measure your memory. This is just a simple memory test, a little fun game, right? A little brain exercise. And now that I went through it, you're thinking, Jim, stop talking so I could write this down. In your notes, what I'd like you to do is take a moment and write down as many of the 10 words as you recall. And you have to do it in order. All right, so take a moment and do that now. Take a moment and memorize and just write down the 10 words.